Welcome back to this special North Dakota Today, focused on thanking our veterans. Sponsored by Shooting Star Casino, Mahnomen and Bagley.
We have a large population of veterans here in the Valley. World War II veterans are still sharing their stories, while veterans from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan are also coming up in the ranks of veteran organizations.
Join us this morning. Dave Rice is with us. It's great to have you back, Dave, and thank you for your service, sir.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having us.
So talk about the veteran population in our community. I think I once heard a stat that North Dakota's got the most veterans per capita in the entire country. Is that accurate?
I believe that's true. There's probably close to 50,000 veterans in the state of North Dakota. Minnesota, 300 and some thousand. So a lot of veterans come from these landlocked states that we live in here. And a surprising high number of sailors in coming from North Dakota too, in a landlocked state.
I've had that conversation with you. I think it's fun to hear your story and all veteran stories. Because you're from North Dakota, why did you sign up for the Navy?
Actually, I was going to sign up for the Air Force, but the recruiter was late for lunch and the Navy guy got me in.
I love it.
But no, some neighbors, World War II veterans, were Navy veterans, and I always had deep respect for them, and decided to join the Navy.
So did you do okay when you finally got out in the middle of the seas, or was that a rough go at first?
I had no problem. I never got seasick other than one time when we were in heavy seas and electricity knocked out the air conditioner, and it was 100 and some degrees, and they were bobbing around like a cork. But other than that, no problems at all.
And, you know, when I was visiting with my dad, he was a Vietnam veteran, you were a Vietnam veteran. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about your time and when you came back as well?
Okay, well, like your dad, I went in young. I went on active duty when I was 17 years old. Wow. And 6 months later, I was off the coast of Vietnam getting shot at, and I said, well, you kind of grow up fast in those conditions, and you really rely on your friends that you're serving with. Spent over 3 years in that arena, and when I came home, I was treated royally. I remember one of our neighbors on the farm back there in Trail County was a Navy pilot in World War II. And he pulled in the yard and said, what are you doing Friday night? And I said, I just got home. I don't have any plans. He said, well, I'm picking you up at 7 o'clock. Well, he picked me up at 7 o'clock, took me into the Fargo VFW, and we tipped a few that night. He brought me home, and I never bought a drink all night. Just the people there just welcoming our younger veterans that are coming home.
That's great. I think that tells you something about North Dakota, Minnesota.
Yep.
When we hear the stories of not all Vietnam veterans, you know, being welcomed back, it was different parts of the country here.
Right.
So that must have kind of, you know, spurred maybe your, you know, lifelong dedication, because you are a VFW member now.
Right. And I've been a Legion member and a Vietnam Veterans member. I'm probably belong to all those organizations, but I've spent most of my time working with the American Legion and VFW. I retired from my civilian job over 10 years ago, and I've been doing probably 70, 75 funerals a year since then. So it's just kind of a passion. You know, I came home, a lot of them different, so I think I have something, an obligation to give back to those that are.
Talk about, if you will, because so few people have the opportunity to serve in the armed forces. You talked about being shot at. Very few people have had that experience. Talk about the camaraderie that you have with other fellow members that have served in our armed forces.
It's automatic. It's a done deal. You know, sailors, we give the Marines a bad time, and Army gives us a bad time. We joke around a lot, but you mess with any one of us, you're going to answer to us all type thing. The organizations like the American Legion, VFW, the camaraderie is just something special among the men and women who have served before in different areas, different time periods. It doesn't really matter. A veteran is a veteran.
What would you like to say to younger veterans? Because we mentioned, you know, well, Vietnam, World War II, Korea, but there are a lot of younger veterans that haven't necessarily joined some of these organizations yet.
And many of them have served in horrific situations as the World War II or Korea or Vietnam. Again, we're all one family in that regard. When I was young, I wasn't involved with organizations either. I was busy working, trying to advance in my career and raising kids, and they just don't really have the time to do it. But I think they're as patriotic as anybody else, and they'll come around. A lot of them are joining, but just not able to do monthly meetings or that type of thing, and that's fine. But we always say family first, so they need to take care of their family. But they're patriotic. When it comes to their turn, they'll be leading these veterans organizations as we are now.
Well,
I have faith in our younger veterans.
thank you for your service
Well, thank you.
and for visiting with us today and all that you do. Stay with us. Coming up next, we're going to take it back to the Fargo National Cemetery once again and find out what it took to get it here.
We'll be back with more of our Veterans Special, sponsored by Shooting Star Casino, Monoman and Bagley.